Is there any sight more glorious than a drying, hardening chocolate dipped treat? My mom's dad, Murray Anderson, was 20 years younger than his sister. And his other sister was close in age to the first, so they had this massive gap between them. And between my aunts Esther and Frida, my great aunts, my mom's aunts, between their birth and his, the family emigrated from Denmark to the United States. So my grandfather was, he was born in the United States and raised by his parents, yes, and also two sisters who had been in Denmark for at least some of their lives. I'm not sure when they came here. And they had a number of Christmas culinary traditions that my mom continues to this day, including Danish sausage, which is a mixture of pork and veal with a unique blend of spices that's especially delicious. Cloves is part of it. I think there's onion and garlic in there too. But anyways, I have ambivalence about eating meat and will still take at least a bite of it because it's just such an incredible taste. And I've thought about how I might make it vegan, but I just haven't gotten around to trying that yet. So that's one. And another one is silteflesk, which is a weird pickled beef dish that my mom makes and I don't fuck with because it's like on pumpernickel bread, which I don't know if you can even get that gluten-free, and the meat is cold and it's just like not my thing. You have it with pickled beets and red wine vinegar and cheddar cheese, and none of it's melted. So yeah, not my jam. But the one thing that I really love in terms of what Esther and Frida did at Christmas is peanut butter balls. And I had a few that my siblings rolled and dunked. I think my mom rolled them and my sibs dunked them at my parents' house. And they're made with, I don't think that that's a Danish recipe. It's probably one that they picked up in the US, though I could be wrong. Because Danish food is far more austere than something with that much, that much chocolate, I feel like. But they have tea logs too, so as a Christmas tradition, so it's not like Danish food doesn't have sweet things. Anyways, so they might have just learned this recipe in the US. I don't know that it's Danish by heritage, and it's my fave. As a treat, a peanut butter and chocolate treat. However, first of all, it's not vegan, and I always like to make things vegan so that people who are dairy-free and people who are just overall vegan, like James, they have the opportunity to eat it, because as somebody who grew up celiac, I am all too familiar with the experience of abstaining from something that looks so tasty because it's just not an option. And if we can avoid that, it's always nice. Look at that. How gorgeous. My sister has Goldie for the next couple of hours, and I get to do whatever I want. So the recipe that I grew up with for peanut butter balls is like tons of butter and powdered sugar in the peanut butter mix, and they're very rich, but I don't think they're really I don't think they need to be that rich in order for me to get what I need out of them. So I made my own, which is a shift on a recipe that I used last year and then couldn't find, but I put, in terms of volume, probably similar to equal parts crisped rice, which actually lasted for a full year since the last year because we don't really eat cereal. So the crispy rice cereal, gluten-free, and peanut butter. And then I put some maple syrup in, and I like to cook to taste, so I just added maybe a quarter cup of maple syrup. Not a great amount of volume. That'd be like a quarter cup of sugar, but we process it differently, and it has more minerals in it. So there's some benefit to eating it But anyways, not very much of that. And some cornstarch. Again, I just kind of eyeballed it. I probably added 3 tablespoons because it firms up the peanut butter. I like the natural peanut butter. I use this kind. I call it Sexy Teddy peanut butter because it's got this teddy bear on the front of it that looks really suggestive to me. So when my mom goes to Costco, sometimes she'll ask me if I need any Sexy Teddy, and that's what she means. So I probably put about 2 cups, maybe 1.5 cups of the Teddy peanut butter in with a bit of maple syrup and a bit of cornstarch and a bunch of crispy rice, and mixed it all up, froze it. It wasn't completely frozen though. I put it in the freezer or maybe I put it outside because it's cold out for I don't know, an hour. And then I balled them up when they were cold and then put them outside again and melted a bunch of chocolate chips. The ones from Wegmans are vegan automatically, so that's handy. Melted a bunch of chocolate chips, and I've done 2 batch. This is my final batch. I ate the first half because I can eat a lot of chocolate. Not necessarily recommending that experience, but they're really good, and they're not as overwhelmingly rich as many things. Yeah, sure, you're still having chocolate, and that's very decadent, but honestly, in terms of the amount of sugar that's in these guys, I think it's a lot of bang for your buck. And I think that the dark chocolate also lends itself to me not wanting to eat as many as I might if I had unlimited peanut butter balls. And it's funny because to have unlimited access to peanut butter balls is it's one of those things that when I was a kid, I'd be like, when I'm big, I'm gonna eat as many peanut butter balls as I want. And now that I'm big, I'm like, I eat as many peanut butter balls as I want, and it's great. So it feels really satisfying to be able to eat as many of them as I want. It feels like my dream's coming true. But it's funny because my papa loved these peanut butter balls, and every year we'd make them for him, and we'd give him a tin. That was one of the things that we do at Christmas, is you make tea logs, as my mom still does, and delivers it to all of the old neighbors in the old neighborhood she used to live in, and a bunch of other people. She even mails them. You make these things for Christmas for people and give it to them. And of course, Papa would receive tins of peanut butter balls. And my mom had 3 sisters. 2 of her sisters are still living, and my Aunt Kathy passed away a couple years ago. But they all would make some variation of these recipes, and they would taste a little different. Or my Aunt Kathy, for example, would make more like a peanut butter cup, and she'd put crispy rice in, but I wasn't supposed to eat crispy rice, so I would sneak it sometimes. Anyways, there are differences in the ways that my aunts and my mom would make these treats, but we'd make ours, and we weren't allowed to have any of Papa's peanut butter balls. It was that tin was his, and you don't touch it. And he had 6 kids. Well, my Nana had 6 kids. And he just you didn't fuck around with Papa. He was very clear about what you were allowed to touch of his and what was off limits. And occasionally, of course, we'd all steal a peanut butter ball, but you had to be really careful about it because Papa's wrath wasn't something that anybody wanted to incur. So I hope that you have a merry solstice season, and if you make these peanut butter balls, I hope you let me know. See you next time.